Hello, this is Jane Goodall, and how I wish that I could be with you all for this really important conference. But anyway, thank you for letting me say a few words. I have to admit that I was absolutely shocked to hear that the existing EU rules for the welfare of farmed animals were adopted almost 30 years ago. And since then, a large body of research has shown that mammals and birds experience emotions such as contentment, depression, fear, and terror. And of course, they all feel pain. We must recognize that each of the billions of animals raised in factory farms across the EU is a sentient individual. Yes, an individual. And yet they're treated like commodities. Their well-being is compromised by the desire to produce cheap meat, eggs, milk, and butter. Obviously, the original EU welfare regulations urgently need to be updated. Even more recent regulations, such as those regarding transport that were passed 18 years ago, and those regarding slaughter that were introduced 14 years ago, even they are badly in need of revision. Secretly filmed video footage and eyewitness accounts reveal the almost unbelievable suffering that goes on in these concentration camps for animals. Have you ever watched footage of pigs who are at least as intelligent as dogs as they are herded towards slaughter, terrified, beaten with iron poles, confused? Have you heard cows bellowing from the pain of mastitis as unyielding machines squeeze milk from their inflamed udders? Fortunately, more and more people, once they're aware of what's going on out of sight, are becoming increasingly concerned. In view of all this, it's really important that the EU should formulate a proposal that takes into account our new understanding of the true nature of farmed animals. Cage farming, mutilations such as debeaking and detailing, and force feeding, at least they should be phased out. Also, the regulators must recognize that the needs of each species will differ. In other words, one size doesn't fit all, so that standards should be species-specific. It's really important that there should be a limit to the number of animals maintained in a given area. This would benefit sustainable livestock farmers whose animals graze their land, and would reduce the overall number of animals used for food. There are a number of reasons to reduce this number, in addition to the horrific cruelty. For example, all the billions of animals farmed across the EU must be fed so that increasing amounts of land is utilized to grow grain. And this has an adverse effect on biodiversity and contributes to the emissions of greenhouse gases. Not only CO2, but the methane that's produced during digestion. Also, it's medically proven that a diet rich in animal products, especially red meat, is harmful for our health. Fortunately, more and more people are aware and increasingly concerned about the cruelty that goes on out of sight, and they are moving towards a healthy plant-based diet. And this trend, along with new regulations for the welfare of farmed animals, will benefit small family farms, the environment, and most importantly, mitigate the suffering of billions of animal beings throughout the EU. I do hope that this conference will be productive, that you will have stimulating discussions, and that you will hear and heed the voices of the animals whose future well-being depends on you. Thank you.